those who know me, which is probably the 2 viewers and that bunny, he's my only viewer. What can we do? Viewer, so come join Mr. Bun Bun, his name is. He'll be there often. But anyway, assalamualaikum to my channel, if this is probably the first time you've seen me, but that's okay. So the reason why I wanted to start with this topic, which is you're not your fears, so you're your choices, is because I resonate with this topic the most in the current state, which is even while like setting up and everything and getting ready for this. So it's today Ramadan right now, and as busy as I am with everything, I wanted to start this project for the longest time, and I was like, if I want barakah in it, I want to start in Ramadan. So while setting up and everything, it was like I was like reaffirming in my head, like repeating self-talk, like you're not your fears, you're your choices, you're not your fears, you're not your choices, because I really feared sitting in front of the camera. Yes, as extrovert and talkative of a person as I am, I feared if people would listen. It's not like the views, it wasn't that, it was more like if people cared what I had to say, because I always felt in my life where my words and my experiences held little value because of my age, because I was just a 19-year-old girl in my room with my vision board right here, and somebody who loves writing and has found a lot of comfort in 2 things when I go through the most difficult times and of my little life, the most difficult times of my little life. I find most comfort in writing and Allah and God, my faith, my iman, and writing, because I feel like most people view it as, oh, when you write down your problems and read over it, it's like, oh, it wasn't even a big deal. But for me, it's opposite, because it's like I write about the biggest and smallest things, and then I realized they were deep, they had value, they had pain, they had struggle, they have comfort, they had warmth, but most of all, they were valid. And
بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين.
I think the whole reason why I chose this topic and I started really resonating with this quote that came up in my head, which was during my recent struggle, which is that a lot of times in life you get tested with whether you will run or you will fight or you will be patient. I feel like people only see it as fight or flight, right? But they don't realize there's a middle ground. There's a ground of being still and being patient. Because, for example, for me, my whole life I've been a fighter. When I see something, I get it. Like, my name is Noor, by the way. I think I mentioned that, but people know, like, Noor, if she puts her mind to something, she's getting it. Like, there's no stopping her if she wants to get it. Like, academics, family, friends.
Like, my friends know that I'm not the type, like, if I befriend you and, like, we're friends like this, we will go through hell and heaven together. Like, if there's problems, we'll fight it out. If, like fight, and I can fight for them to remain in my life. That's how deeply I care and how deeply I love. So
and I feel like people can resonate where there comes a point where you need to face a lot of your fears, and there can be events or situations that have really, really affirmed those fears to be true, right? So you sit there and you think, I am scared and I am confused and I am hurt, but I choose to learn. So you choose not to flight and you choose not to fight. You choose to sit still, be patient, and learn. Learn from your fears, learn from your past, learn from your journey, to just be there and reflect. Because you've heard the saying, which is Allah will test you with the thing that you yearn for the most or you want the most in your life, and Allah will test you with that. And I've never been the type who runs from problems. I've always been the type who faces it heads on, like I fight for it, right? So this time it was all about being patient and being still and trusting Allah when you have no answers, when you're all confused. And I think a lot of times people don't realize that stillness and patience and not knowing answers is not a weakness. It's a wake-up call to yourself to how you will behave. when there is darkness, when there's confusion, when there's no answers, there's doubts, and all you have is guilt and regret and anger and so many ill feelings. But you sit in front of God, you sit in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you sit there and you say, Ya Allah, I will walk step by step, patiently, holding the only light in my heart, which is you, which is in this darkness. I see no answers, I see no future, I see no way or something to fight for, but I will still walk. Or if you want me to, I'll sit and I'll reflect. And there comes a time, which people have talked about a lot, there comes a time where you feel like giving up on everything. And I know that sounds dramatic. I'm not saying like giving up on life. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying giving up in your struggle, because it just feels so prolonged. It's been like 6 months, like day in, day out. You just want this, you just want answers. You just want the struggle to finally be a little less heavy on your shoulders. So there comes a point where you just feel like you want to give out, like you want to give up, because you want to be your fears. You want to give in to your fears, because all your mind says is, see, you are that. See, you aren't any different. See, all of this XYZ that happened, it literally happened because you're this or that. Like, let me give you an example. Like, I know somebody who has a fear of, I'm talking about internal fears. I'm not talking about like you have fears of sharks and then you see a shark and you're like, see, there's a shark. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about internal fears, like really deep, scary wounds that you don't know exist until somebody touches them and you're like, dang, where did that come from? Because I didn't know that was in me. But so for example, I know somebody that has the fear where they don't like it when people distance themselves from them, because emotionally distance, because growing up they've always had friends and family and all their loved ones hurt to them through that medium, which is that they emotionally distance themselves from them, right? And so she as a result projects when she's in the lowest parts of life, and she's at that point where she doesn't want to keep going anymore. She gives into her fears and she projects. So when you're scared that people are going to distance themselves from you, you distance yourself from people. And I've noticed that in myself too. For example, my biggest fear is that people leave. That's one of my biggest fears, and I say it very upfront without tears in my eyes and breathing fine, but that's one of my biggest fears. And I wrote here in my diary, which I will tell you guys why I have this, and I will encourage you guys throughout the podcast to also get this, because like I said, writing is like fighting for yourself, and fighting when nobody's around, when nobody sees it, when you tell yourself over and over again, I'm doing it for Allah, I'm doing it for myself, I'm doing it for the life He gave me and for the life I want to have. Anyways, I wrote, your mind finds reasons to reaffirm your fears. Your heart knows the warmth of the truth. Don't let the wrong side win. So it's sort of like, for example, my fear is that people leave and that hurts me. And every time there's a struggle, my mind finds reasons to reaffirm, hey, look, that person left too. Hey, look, that person left too. Hey, look, that happened too. They all left. If you get closer to this person, or if you invest emotionally, or you keep being yourself and you keep fighting, they're gonna leave too. So, wow, that made my heart race fast. They're talking about it. But the point is that you are not your fears. Your fears are your weaknesses, and they are what Shaitan, your devil, or your lower nafs, we call it, or you could call it your lowest self, uses, which is that Shaitan tries to get in your head and whisper through every way and form that you are your fears, and through that he gets you real good. Because remember, a lot of battles are up here, they're never with our hands. Most battles are up here. And what do battles need? Battles needs two sides, and oftentimes the strongest side is your fears. because my dad always says there's two frequencies that you live in, hope and fear. You can choose which frequency you want to live in. Because recently I've journaled this, actually. I call this the page of, I titled it The Thing My Dad Says. Hold on. During one of my struggles, I remember my best friend, I called her and I was feeling really down, and I asked her, her name is Ramesha, by the way, shout out to you, my love. I called her and she was on the call comforting me, of course, and I asked her, Ramesha, is there hope? Is there hope? Like, I don't see any hope past this test. And she told me, Noor, there's always hope. And I took a minute and I replied to her saying, but why does fear always feel bigger? And she said, it's because we let fear be bigger. We let it be bigger, and we let it consume us. And at that time I replied with, it's because fear keeps us in a reality, and reality is what we live in. So we need fear to keep us in reality. I felt like there is no point of living in hope, because hope is like living in a dream that's bound to crash, basically. You're bound to not reach it.